Tonight's candidates for District 3 are Richard Grissom, George Smart, Joseph Stotts, and Michael Shane Butler.
Thank you all for coming. We're going to go ahead and start with introductions. Mr. Grissom, go ahead.
Good evening. I'm Richard Grissom. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. It's great to see everyone. I would also like to thank Warren County High School, BLTV, and of course, the Young Democrat and Republican clubs for putting on this debate tonight. Warren County's future is bright when we have young people that are engaged. So, a round of applause to this group. I currently serve as one of your commissioners in the 3rd District. I've been on the commission for right at 11 months now. So it's been a learning experience for me, and it's one that I hope gets to continue if I'm fortunate enough to be voted in on August the 2nd. I am married to Tanera Pelham Grissom, sitting back there. We have 2 daughters, Rachel and Sarah. I love these 3 ladies with all my heart. As a family, we enjoy sporting events here around town, music. We enjoy kayaking at Todd Barker's place. I see him down here. And hang out at local restaurants with our friends. I am a graduate of Warren County High School. Actually, didn't come to this school. I'm old, so I was the last class in the middle school now. So, and a graduate of Montlow State Community College. My work history, I have worked in, managed, regionally managed, if you will, and co-owned several Verizon locations during the past 15 or so years. And I currently manage a U.S. Bank location. My work history, I feel that it gives me certain qualifications such as communication, problem-solving skills. I feel that I have strong leadership ability, and I have an extreme loyalty to those who work with me. I feel that these are all important qualities for our county commission, and I have these. But at the end of the day, communication as a commissioner is key, and I am willing to listen to any citizen of the 3rd District, any issue, no matter how large or how small, at any time, and relay that information to our county to make sure that those issues are addressed. Again, my name is Richard Grissom. I'm your 3rd District County Commissioner, and I would ask for your vote on August the 2nd. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Smart, go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm George Smart. I've lived in Warren County the vast majority of my life, born here in 1951. Graduated from McMinnville City High School, which later became the middle school, the junior high school, the high school, and now it's back to the middle school. Of course, that wasn't an exact sequence. Graduated from the University of Tennessee at Knoxville in 1974 and 76 with both a bachelor's and master's of science in science education. Taught for 6 years, 3 years in Warren County, 3 years in West Memphis, Arkansas. Came back here. I have farmed and taught, raised cattle and chickens on a farm down the road. Been in our family for a long time. Had the privilege to run for the county commission in 1990, was elected. 2 years later, or a year later, got to pass or cast the biggest vote of our life when we elected to build Hickory Creek and the high school here. Spent a whole ton of money, we thought, but that money back then, $24 million, pales compared to what we're having to spend for things now. Served, as I said, I've been on the commission now for 24 years. 22 years I served on the Warren County Planning Commission. Had the privilege to be on the Safety Committee for 12 years, 8 years as chairman. Was on Budget and Finance Committee for 10 years, 6 years as chairman. On the Redistricting Committee, which helped to draw the district lines for the present county commission districts. We did that in 2000. No, I got to do it in 90, 2000, and 2010, 3 years, 3 times there. Was on the Jail Oversight Committee when we elected to build the jail. 15 years ago, we brought the first plans to the county. About 3 years later, we finally got the jail open, served on that construction oversight committee and later on the jail oversight committee, which dealt with the maintenance and the various workings of the jail. My wife is Tammy Underhill. She is from Mount Juliet. I have 3 daughters, Alex, 31, who's a lawyer in Kansas City, Missouri. My second daughter, Jack, is a 4th-year medical student. She's now living in Augusta, Georgia. Third daughter, Madison, who claims to be my favorite daughter and we fight all the time, is a senior, supposedly at UT. She's been there for a long time. I wish she'd get out. Many of you students out there are learning that same trick. My son, Will, graduated from high school here, and he's employed locally. As for what we need to do, education's the key. You're going to hear tonight people talking about the jail, what we need to do there, and mental health and problems and roads and everything, but an educated workforce is a better workforce. Thank you.
Thank you. Joseph Stotts, please introduce yourself.
My name is Joseph Stotts, and I am running for a 3rd District County Commission seat. I am running because I believe in service. I believe in hope. I believe in the young Democrats and the young Republicans for putting on this event tonight. I believe that you guys are our future, and we've got to present ourselves and present ideas to you to give you the initiative to want to be up here speaking like us or another office of service one day. So we've got to serve you. So how should we serve you? What should we be doing? Well, I think one of the biggest things that's on my mind and a lot of folks' mind in the room is how are we going to prevent and stop all of the mass shootings that we're seeing in the country? How are we going to protect you? I don't think there's one other more important topic that we should be talking about here tonight. We're here in a school. We're here with students. That should be prime topic number 1 of discussion. So how are we going to do that? We need to reinforce where we're placing our SROs in our schools. We need to have metal detectors. If people are going to get into our schools, they're going to find a way if they want to get into our schools. Okay? We've got to look at this. We've got to think about this. We've got to come up with different methods because what we've done so far has not worked. We've got to look at serving the community when it comes to our opiate crisis that we've got in the community. We've got to find funding for additional treatment for our opiate problems. That's why we don't have. That's why we have problems with our workforce. We have companies that don't want to come in this county. It's because we're not addressing our opiate problem. And they say you don't have a workforce. We got a workforce, but we haven't addressed the opiate problem. Let's get our workforce back. Let's do something about it. Let's find funds to address that. Let's keep from having to build onto the jail every 5 years. We've got to focus on service. We've got to move away from being stale and complacent with what we're doing and move forward. You know, one of the things that's on my mind is, and I was thinking about this today, why is it that in this county, 2 of the most important jobs that we have, their base salary is about $35,000 a year? Teachers and officers. There is no more important jobs in this community. None, hands down. So, you know, we've got to be thinking about these issues, thinking critical about them, thinking about how to bring jobs back into the community. So that's why I'm running for 3rd District County Commission. I'm confident in my leadership abilities. I've been a leader in my job for 15 years, and I'm confident that I can be a good leader and a strong voice for you in the community, and I'll look forward to serving you.
Thank you. Mr. Wilcher, please introduce yourself.
My name is Michael Shane Wilcher. I'm currently a District 3 County Commissioner along with Mr. Grissom on the end there. I'm the proof that you don't have to do things the way they've always been done, okay? I wasn't being served as a citizen like you should be served. And when the elected officials at that time didn't answer questions that every one of you are due because of you paying taxes and because you're the elected official's boss, I decided to run for local office, and I decided to do things differently than I had seen. So I ran, and I think I was a joke to a lot of people, and I'm still a joke to a lot of people. But at the end of the day, well, let me say, I have parents. I was born, I went to school somewhere, I live here in Warren County, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, what matters in my job is that I listen to the people of the 3rd District and I do what they tell me to do. It doesn't matter what issue comes up. It doesn't matter if we're debating about increasing the size of the jail or increase SRO presence, all that, those are valid points. But at the end of the day, when issues come up in Warren County, my job is to inform the people of the 3rd District and to get their input and then do what they tell me to do, okay? That's my job. Now, again, my life, I've made mistakes in my life before I was elected, and I'm proof that you can and you can change and do good. What are some things that I've done? I'm the only elected official in Warren County history to have a resolution drawn up allowing you to speak at our monthly meetings. Understand that. You didn't have the opportunity to speak at our monthly meetings in the past. I'm the first to ever propose that and get it passed, okay? I'm the first candidate in Warren County's history to ever propose the possibility of drug testing all elected officials. That was shot down, of course, by our local attorney. Other than that, what I've done, I've served on the Building and Grounds Committee for the last 4 years. I'm currently on the Policy and Personnel Committee. And I'm the only candidate to ever fight against the use of eminent domain for non-necessity purposes here in Warren County. The Jarrell Farm in Coffee County that was taken, and also the Whitlock Family Farm or land taken for the airport. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. We're going on to our first question. If elected, how would you continue to learn what issues are important to your constituents? Mr. Grissom.
That's a great question. I think about that a lot, actually, so that's very good. I feel the best way is I actually spoke to a commissioner last week. He came into my office, a former commissioner. Let me clarify that. It was a former commissioner. He was on the county commission in the mid-90s. And he told me that, because I asked him that question, actually, so that's funny that you bring that up. I said, how do you know what the people of your district want? And he told me that him and his fellow commissioner had basically town hall meetings when there was issues coming up, or if they needed to discuss issues that were prevalent in that district, then they would get together and just discuss it. And then they would take that to the county commission. And I was thinking, maybe me and Shane need to do that. I thought that sounded like a really good idea. I know there's more ways. There's internet, ways to communicate. I'm old-fashioned. I like to talk to people, so I just need to do a better job of asking those questions.
Thank you. Mr. Smart?
I'm old-fashioned too, Richard. I run into a lot of people. People call me. That's basically the way I figure out what's going on. And I find that that's a lot more effective than things that may or may not be misrepresented if you read them somewhere else. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Stotts?
The best way to find out what your district wants you to do, what they want of you, what's their concern, is to knock on doors and to walk the beat and talk to people. I've knocked on 588 doors within the last few months. Check out my shoe here. This is the second pair. Okay? Second pair. My wife's right now, she's thinking, I cannot believe you just did that. Seriously though, my background's in mental health. My background is in reaching out to people. I have a history of going into homes going to visit people, going to see people, talking to people, listen to people about the problems. If you want to know what problems people are having, go find them on their turf. Give them that respect. They shouldn't have to come to you if you're serving your community.
Thank you. Mr. Wiltshire.
I agree. Richard, community meetings, which I held when I took office out at the Smart Baptist Church for when the weather was permitting, I did that, and we had some people come out and give us their ideas. Absolutely agree with Joseph here, knocking on doors, talking to people. Absolute best way. Did a lot of that 4 years ago. But I also do stuff like this. I mean, I am old-fashioned. I love talking to people, but I also like having a heavy presence on social media because I have people private message me and I can check out the facts myself, and they often come up with very good issues, and I often put out issues on my Facebook page for people to tell me what they want. Show me the different sides, because none of us here are the sharpest tools in the shed. We are just your employees at the end of the day, and we're looking to do what you want us to do. But again, I agree. Meetings, knocking on doors, social media. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wiltshire. We're going to give our second question. Do you feel we should increase funding for proposed county projects? Mr. Grissom.
Yes.
You want to go any further on that?
I'll listen to what these guys have to say about that.
Mr. Smart.
Thank you, sir. The record would show, if you go back, that I have voted for every tax increase proposed in Warren County the 24 years I was on the commission. I also voted against several budgets that did not contain a tax increase, advocating all along that 3 or 4 cents a year would have kept us out of the situation we finally have found ourselves into. My colleagues at the time were very proud of the fact that we had 6, 8, 10 years without a tax increase. However, that's like, I changed the tire on my truck a little while ago because ran over a stop down the field feeding the cows. Had to change that and put an old spare on it, and that old spare was nearly bald. People say we're not going to have a tax increase, we can't do this, we can't do that. They also tell you, I bought a new tire and I poked a hole in that tire, and if I'd said I'm not going to buy a new tire for a while, I'd be running on the rims. So we can't say no to tax increases that are justified.
Thank you, Mr. Smart.
Thank you.
Mr. Stotts.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Do you feel we should increase funding for proposed county projects?
I think that projects in the community that are going to generate jobs are what we need. I think that anytime we're working on a project that involves a building or infrastructure, that we should be thinking more about how we're going to bring companies into the county and generate jobs for our community to keep our families in the community, as opposed to redoing buildings and placing historic signs in front of them.
Thank you, Mr. Stotts. Mr. Wiltshire.
I mean, hey, the answer looks like it should be yes. And at the end of the day, it's up to you. But, my belief is, show me that you can be a good steward of the money that the people are already giving you. And if you think that Warren County doesn't spend some money on things that would probably be better spent elsewhere, I would say you're probably wrong, okay? There's always places you can cut, and there's always places that you can redelegate. I don't like increasing the tax on people, but guess what? At the end of the day, if the people of the 3rd District tell me, Shane, increase my taxes, I'm going to vote to increase their taxes because they're my employer, period.
Thank you, Mr. Wiltshire. Y'all get 30 seconds for a rebuttal. We're going to start with you, Mr. Grissom.
Well, I think all three gentlemen here made some excellent points, and I wasn't trying to be sarcastic earlier with my answer. I promise everyone here that. I take it extremely seriously. At the end of the day, I think most people know that we are going to have to increase taxes at some point. It's not popular to say. Things need to be done. again, all solid common sense stuff here. You know, we need to use our resources wisely, make sure they go to the right things. I mean, anyone's going to say that. Everyone knows that. But
Thank you, Mr.
the
Grissom.
answer is still yes.
Thank you. Mr. Smart.
A long time ago, when I first ran, I asked one of my supporters, a farmer that lived down the road, if he'd like to go with me to see something that was going on about an elected school board. And he said then, "No, George, we elected you to make those decisions." It's very easy to stand up here and say, well, we're not going to have a tax increase and my people don't want it. We represent all of Warren County, not just the 3rd District, and we have to make those decisions that you may not like. Given the choice between candy and medicine, most children and most adults will take the more palatable candy.
Thank you, Mr.
than
Smart.
medicine.
Mr. Stotts.
Over the course of the last several debates that we've had, I've heard a lot of folks talk about the fact that we don't have a deficit in the county. And they've said that in a proud way, and I think that's wonderful. Here's what I also think as well. I think that if I'm running a race, or any of us are running a race, literally, and I do mean not the race that we're all competing in here, but I mean if we're running a race, is our goal going to be just to finish the race or to get the best time? Okay? And so by that I mean we can't get complacent in what we're doing, and we need
Thank
to
you,
make
Mr.
decisions
Stotts.
that grows the community, hands down.
Mr. Wiltshire.
Yeah, again, I don't take making decisions like that lightly, and that's why I do what the people tell me to do. And if you give the people the avenue to contact you and to voice their opinion, I don't see what the problem is with letting them decide every time. Now, I can tell you, I don't have a problem paying a little bit higher taxes. I don't. But at the end of the day, it's not my decision.
Thank you, Mr. Wiltshire. Thank you, all candidates.
Thank you.
Thank you.